Welcome everyone to Raw Dog Game Reviews. I'm the Raw Dog, and this is what we do here at Raw Dog Game Reviews. I'm going to review a game I recently played. But here's the catch. There's no script and no editing. I'm just going to ramble on my review for the game, off the top of my head, off the cuff if you will. Now that that's out of the way, let's get to it, and let's go in Raw Dog. Okay, today we're talking about Fire Emblem Engage. So, just to be fully honest and upfront, it's been a while since I played this game, but I wanted to do a review on it. I didn't feel like taking the time to brush up on it, and I love Fire Emblem, so I don't think I really need to brush up on it much. I've played all of the Fire Emblems that have come to America, and I also was able to get a fan translation of the Binding Blade on my phone, so I've also played that one. So yeah, I love Fire Emblem, and it doesn't really change. Fire Emblem is a pretty static series, so I'm pretty sure I could handle this, even though it's been a while since I played. And Fire Emblem also. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's dive in. Okay, so Fire Emblem Engage. I obviously love this game. You know, I say that all the time. Basically, if I'm reviewing a game, I like it. It's very rare that I review a game that I don't like. But anyway, so yeah, Fire Emblem Engage is amazing. I think it's one of the best Fire Emblems in the series. I think it's probably one of the best. It's definitely one of the best recently. I'm going to talk about some of the other Fire Emblems, obviously, so like some of the more recent ones as well in this review. I think that's definitely a big part of it. Like I'm going to talk about Three Houses. I'm going to talk about Fates, and I'm going to talk about Awakening. Wow, it's been a while since I remember these names. I think it's Awakening. So I'm going to call it Awakening. The one with Robin. If I'm wrong, people can tell me in the comments or whatever. But anyway, so anyway, yes, Engage is really good. I really enjoyed it. I think it's a great Fire Emblem game. I think if you enjoy the series of Fire Emblem, I think you definitely enjoy Engage. I think it's definitely open to newcomers. I think it actually is a better game for newcomers than like Fates or Three Houses. Awakening is definitely the best. Awakening was like the greatest game I had seen in the Fire Emblem series since the Fire Emblem we got on GBA. I'm just gonna call it GBA. I forget what it was called in Japan, but the Fire Emblem GBA with Lyn, the one before Binding Blade. So yes, I would say that Awakening is probably the best Fire Emblem of the whole series. If you haven't played that one and you're a Fire Emblem fan, then there's something wrong with you. Go back and play that one. Yeah, it's a DS game and it's old now, but I mean, it's the one that single-handedly brought the series back to relevance, saved the series from dying, and made it relevant again and brought it into everybody again. Like everybody, like not only say everybody, but a lot of people love Fire Emblem again now because of this. It made it mainstream. Fire Emblem is now a big thing. If you like tactical strategy games, get Engage. Engage is really good. Anyway, so to continue. Let's jump right in. The graphics. Well, Fire Emblem Engage, it looks good, but I mean, it doesn't look real. It's a cel shaded, or I guess it's a cel shaded. It's a Nintendo game. First of all, it's on the Switch, and it's a Fire Emblem game. Second of all, so it's not supposed to look realistic. It's supposed to look anime. Fire Emblem is anime. It has anime tropes in it, and that also kind of started in Awakening. Anyway, yeah. It looks anime. So, but the graphics do look good. The character models look good. They run well. They move well. Like the character models look really good and on point. So the graphics are really good. And I really, really like how you get to explore like the battle map after you battle, and you can walk around it and like collect some random little goodies here and there, like some grains and some apples, and you can talk to your companions. They give you like bond points and all that stuff. I like that. I like being able to walk around the field after combat or before combat. I just like that the field actually exists, and you get to walk around it and get to see it more on a first-hand basis and like really live it. It's a real nice feature. It's a real nice addition to the game. I think it's a beautiful thing. Beautiful. So anyway, I think that's awesome. So the graphics definitely help on that point because you can actually look around the battle map, look around the field, and it just looks good. And of course, the hub world looks really good. I like the castle. I like running around it and doing my thing. I had this little game where I was chasing, or no, I was letting the little puppy, I forget what its name is, where you let that like chase me around, and I was trying to technically play like tag with it, where it would chase me around the place, and I would basically do everything I could to avoid it. So that was really fun. That was my own that was just for my own amusement. But anyway, I did like how the hub area had its own arena. Oh, you know what? I'm kind of talking about gameplay, so let's just skip that for now. Back to graphics. Yeah. So yeah, the game looks really good. The hub world looks really good. I think like I said, the character models look really good. I think it did a splendid job in everything it needed to do for the graphics. It was really good. So let's move on to the story. The story is awesome. This is where I don't even know, man. The gameplay and the story are gonna be a big point for this. It's probably be a long video. Anyway, so I love the story. I think the story is one of the best stories we've had since Awakening, and I think that the story is just really good. I mean, granted, it's not amazing. It's not gonna win. It's not gonna win awards or anything. But what I'm trying to say is, like, for what we've had recently, it's a good story. I mean, Three Houses' story was just so bland and just so annoying, and Fate's story was just garbage. And then we have, like I said, Awakening story is really good. Awakening story is awesome. And yeah, that's what I would say. It seems like it's kind of bleh. And there aren't that many games between, I guess, right now. I thought there was another game in between. Was there another game in between? No, it went Awakening, Fates. Yeah, it went Awakening, Fates, Three Houses, and now Engage. Because it was Robin, Corin, Byleth, and I forget Engage's character. I forget their name. Anyway, yeah. So that's because there isn't a Smash character yet. Anyway, so yes, I would say Engage's story definitely beats out Three Houses. I would say it definitely beats out Fates, and I would say that Awakening beats out all of them by a mile. Anyway, this is why. Engage has a story, and it has a main character that actually speaks. I'm going to call them the Avatar or main character for right now because I forget their name. I forget their canon name, and I'm going to be referencing them a lot. So the Avatar Engage actually has a voice. It actually talks. It actually makes decisions. It actually has a presence. It works. This is how you're supposed to write a story. I hate what Three Houses does. I hate what Fates does. It's so dumb. Trying to write a story around a silent protagonist that isn't just silent, that is the avatar, and I'm using air quotes for everyone that can't see it because I don't put video in my videos. The avatar of the player, since the player has to make all of the choices and the player can make a ridiculous amount of choices. So basically, the story has to be ridiculously open-ended, vague, and have no real direction. And the actual main character of the story, which is obviously the main character because the story focuses on them, actually also can't have any input in the story. So even while they're the main character, and while it's really obvious they're the main character, it's also very obvious that that the story isn't about them, that they have no input in the story. And that is just stupid. It makes them look like a bystander in their own story, and it just feels dumb. This is why I hate the generation of Avatar characters that basically cannot interact with the world around them. That the world has to just keep going, and they have to be completely bystander because they are supposed to represent the player, and the player standing with the characters, rather than actually the player taking the role of a character and interacting with the characters through that role. No, now it's the player is a bystander watching the world or watching the characters instead of actually interacting with them. And I think that's just dumb. I think it's not good storytelling. It makes a very bland story. For example, the story of Three Houses follows Edelgard. Well, it should follow Edelgard and her path of redemption or her path of revenge, where she is basically going full-on commit, which I love. I love characters that commit into the dark revenge area, where she is now going to conquer the world. And or I guess the continent. It's really just one continent. But anyway, she's going to conquer it, and she has decided that this is what she's going to do. She is not taking no for an answer, and you are either with her or you are against her. It does not matter. She has her feelings, and she does not always want to do these things, but she has committed. She will do these things regardless of her feelings because she has committed, and that is beautiful. That characters that commit are well written, in my opinion. I don't like when characters waffle around the subject and think like, well, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? And that's the problem with Fates. I hate Fates. Anyway, to get back to Three Houses for a second. Yes, the game of Three Houses would be better with one campaign where it actually just followed Edelgard, and Byleth was your avatar character, but they were actually a bystander, where the game actually followed Edelgard, and the game was actually about Edelgard, and you weren't trying to pick houses or anything, and trying to play matchmaker with your house members and all this garbage. I know that the whole waifu matchmaker thing is what saved the series, and yeah, sure, it's fine, but it really deserves a background slot, and it should not. Well, Three Houses actually does it in an okay manner. It is in the background, but like, Fate it does it in a very silly way. Anyway, as long as it's in the background, it's okay. It's not okay when it takes center stage, and it tries to be part of the game, tries to be part of the story. Although Awakening did it well. But Fate did not do it well. Anyway, so yeah, if it followed Edelgard and her story actually made sense and actually had plot and actually felt like it got resolved, because the ending doesn't feel like it got resolved. Anyway, so then again, you also have Fates. In Fates, Corrin does not follow any beliefs ever. Like, Corrin is just stupid throughout Fates. I played Conquest because I prefer the Conquest idea. I prefer the hard mode of Fire Emblem. I didn't like how, although I will say I also had, Conquest and Resistance? What is the other one actually called? I don't remember anymore. The other one's a Conquest. The other one, the other Fates. I played both of them, and I technically played the third piece, which is like the true route. Again, air quotes. But like the true route, I didn't finish it. It was stupid. It was just stupid, and I didn't feel like playing the game a third time. And that's again like the problem I have with Three Houses, where it's like, hey, this is the true canon world where you play with Edelgards, but you can also pick flavor vanilla, flavor chocolate, and flavor strawberry. It's like no. I bought the game. Give me the game experience. Don't give me the game and then be like, the game has chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. No, they're all the same. They're all the same plot line. Just give me the actual, real canon plot. It's so dumb. It works for Pokemon because then it's like you can catch these certain Pokemon in these areas, and it has this whole exclusive factor to it. When it's Fire Emblem or when it's other things like this, it just makes it stupid and contrived, and they're just trying to tell you buy more games. Like Fates really feels like they're just trying to sell you more content and just be a jerk. Like Nintendo is just trying to be a jerk. At least Three Houses doesn't make you buy more games to play the other houses. If they did, I would not have bought more copies because it didn't deserve it. Anyway, so back in the story. Yeah, I am still ranting about Three Houses. I played through with the Golden Deer. They're awesome. I love them. I love archery. I like ranged characters. I think ranged characters are the boss of Fire Emblem games. If you have a lot of ranged characters, you only need a tank and ranged characters, and you can take fields like nothing. Just be a good strategist. Be defensive. And yeah, you just take fields. Anyway, then I played Edelgard because Edelgard's also defensive because she's a tank. And it was awesome. But yes, I definitely agree. Edelgard's story is canon. It's the better ending. It's the canon story, and that's the only one you really need to play. That's the only one you need to play. You play Edelgard's canon story, and you play one of the others. Just pick one, or you play Edelgard again and just don't do her canon ending, and you've literally played the entire game. Because the rest of it is just different colors. Just different colors. The other characters, yeah, they have plot lines, but they don't matter so much to the world, and they don't matter so much to the plot, that it actually changes anything. Which is why I hate this whole scheme of it. They try to make you play like 4 times. It's like, no, you only need to play twice, at most. Best to just play once. And same thing with Fates. Fates, again, let's go back to Fates.
So the main problem I have with Fates, the problem with its story, is like I said, Corrin can't decide, and he's not a character, or she, whichever gender you pick for Corrin. They're not a character. Corrin, in playing Conquest is basically the best example, because again, in Fate, it should have followed the main prince of the Dark Kingdom. I don't forget what their names were, of the Conquest Kingdom, and it also should have followed the main prince of the Samurai Kingdom. That is what the game should have followed. It should not have followed Corrin. It should not have. Corrin should have just been there with them. That would have made the game interesting, because you actually follow the prince and actually see their choices and see how they affect the world, and see how the world affects them. So yes. So yeah. The Fates. Sorry, I cut myself off there for a bit. Fates. Yes, I really, because Corrin can't make decisions. Corrin can't make real decisions. Even though Corrin has more of a voice than Violet does, but Violet has like no voice. Corrin still can't make decisions. When the things happen in Corrin's world, and they're like, Corrin, you have to kill these people in there, and you have to make the decision to actually be a killer. You don't. You don't actually kill these people. You don't. Corrin doesn't actually kill people, and he's like, I've actually killed. I had to make these terrible choices. Corrin doesn't actually make these choices. It doesn't actually affect him. It doesn't affect him in any real way that it would actually affect a real person to have to actually make the choice to kill, actually make the choice to be a dastardly villain and sacrifice people for your country. He doesn't actually make these choices, so it doesn't actually work as an interesting character. It just falls flat. That's why I don't like those games. But Awakening was awesome because it did follow Chrom, and that's what I'm trying to say. Yes, Robin is there, and Robin is a main character, and but he's a bystander. He's a bystander. He's Chrom's sword buddy. They fight together. He's a tactician. He's not the main character of the game. Chrom is, and it shows. You follow Chrom, and it's Chrom's adventure. Robin's just there along for the ride. This is how you do Avatar characters, because yeah, having Avatar characters is cool. It's nice for the player, but they shouldn't be the main focus. They should be a bystander. They should be a bystander so they can interact with the world in the actual correct manner and not have the world awkwardly interacting or awkwardly trying to interact with them when they actually can't. So that's the problem we get into. But anyway, let's go back to Engage. So Engage's story is really good. It tries to follow this whole idea of you being the last dragon, which is kind of redoing Fates. It kind of actually tries to redo Fates in a good way. Now that I think about it, with the whole dragon idea. So yeah, anyway, you're a dragon, but the evil dragon is also there, and you have to fight the evil dragon's kin, and they are also dragons, and you are the last holy dragon, but you're not actually the last holy dragon. You're actually an evil dragon that was basically brainwashed to be a holy dragon, but it's okay because it never really comes up. You don't really have to ever face any kind of trial or tribulation of your mind trying to take over and be evil. It never actually matters. So yeah, the plot kind of falls flat. Even though it's a good plot, it still kind of falls flat. And yeah, you just do your thing. You try to save the countries, but it doesn't. But your character actually has a voice and actually makes decisions and actually affects the world around them, because they aren't just pure avatar. They actually do have a voice. So the story works and it functions, and you go around to each kingdom and you help them find the stones to make the Fire Emblem, and you save the kingdom from the giant evil dragon with the Fire Emblem. And yeah, it's a basic Fire Emblem story. That's pretty much every Fire Emblem story. It's very basic, but it's very good. Well, yeah, it's good. Maybe I should say very good. It's good. Like I said, it kind of falls flat, but the rest of the game makes up for it because the rest of the characters are good, and like I said, the world actually functions around you, so the game actually still feels good, even though the main meat of the story kind of falls flat. The game's story, the whole thing, still functions so well that it kind of picks up for it, even though the whole little meat of being the dragon, but you're not really the dragon, and then you're an evil dragon, but it doesn't really matter. You don't really have to ever come to terms with that. All that doesn't really matter. So, but the story is still good, and that's why I like it. I like how the things run. I like all the different characters interact. And yes, so the story is really good. I definitely enjoyed it. I think it's great. So let's move on to gameplay. I've talked about story for a long time now. And gameplay is also going to talk about the other games because I just like Fire Emblem, and I think there aren't enough reviews on Fire Emblem online. I try to watch some reviews here and there, not to really influence my reviews. So I try not to watch a review of the game I'm reviewing before I review it. But I do watch a lot of reviews. I have things to do in my life anyway, and they're good background music or background sound. And that's what I'm for. I record background sound anyway. So where was I going with this? So yes, I don't see a lot of reviews on Fire Emblems. I don't see a lot of reviews on JRPGs. So I want to do a nice Fire Emblem review. Anyway, so yes, the gameplay of Engage is Fire Emblem. What else can I say? If you've played a Fire Emblem game, you've played Engage. The gameplay is straightforward. It's the same. The only thing that's different is they have this whole Engage bond thing, where as long as you reach a certain bond level and the characters have a nice connection with each other, you can hit the engage button and basically they like super form into each other. Whereas like the main character kind of super forms and they kind of just get a boost. The side character kind of just gets a boost. And from there, it also has an awesome thing where you have the ring powers. The ring powers basically boost your characters and also let like the rings kind of give like side attacks and side benefits, and you can kind of when you engage you kind of like take on the role of the ring character and basically use its power to buff you. That's right, you're getting the rings, you're not really getting the jewels. I was blending storylines there. I'm sorry, you're getting the rings, and the rings are what make the Fire Emblem. When they all come together, they make the Fire Emblem. Anyway, point of the matter is, yes, the ring feature is really cool. I like it. I like the idea of it, although I will say it's broken. It is broken. The game is too easy. Even on hard mode, the game is just easy. I mean, I struggled. I struggled a little bit on hard mode. I am actually still playing it on hard mode. I haven't beaten it because it just takes time. I take my time with strategy games. They're awesome and I love them. And I also took a break to play some of the DLC, which I also haven't finished because the DLC is pretty cool. And I say I haven't finished it because they take my time with that. But anyway, even on hard mode, the game is not difficult. I struggled because I was trying to do certain things, try to acquire certain like special rings before I really was ready to, and things like that. So I struggled. But because I basically put myself in those situations to struggle in. So if I took the game at its core, I just played hard mode at its core, I had no problem. Like I failed a mission or two maybe, and then I was just basically wrecking missions. The game is not the game. The game will be difficult for a newcomer, but for someone that knows how Fire Emblem functions and can easily start to see how the engage can be busted and just broken, the game is easy. The game is chumps. The only time the game is difficult is when they take engage away from you, but they still keep it with the enemies. So then, therefore, it is difficult because then you've lost this giant buff, but the enemies have this giant buff, and you're just like, oh my god, what do I do? So yeah. But anyway, the gameplay is standard. It's Fire Emblem. You walk on a grid. You fight each other. Swords are better than lances. Actually, they took that away, didn't they? They took away the weapon triangle away. They took a lot of things away in this game that make a lot of depth, which is one of the things that I don't like. They keep taking the depth away from Fire Emblem to make it easier for newcomers. Like since Fates, they took away weapon degradation. Weapon degradation is awesome, and I think it definitely should have stayed in the game because it makes it so that when you actually acquire really awesome weapons, you have to be really picky about when you use them because they have degradation, and they're usually really low degradation, so they get broken really quickly. But in the newer games, like from Fates onward, weapons don't have degradation. So when you get a new amazing weapon like the Brave weapons that attack 4 times, you just use them forever, and you just break the game. So it makes it too easy. That's why I don't like getting rid of the weapon degradation. But that's not a problem with Engage. It's a problem with the series because the series keeps doing it to itself. Where the series keeps making itself easier for newcomers and keeps trying to tone down the difficulty. Because it was always a very difficult series where characters die, they die for real. You kick them back, and weapons break. The game was very deep into strategy. Hard mode is hard mode. Like the games were hard. And they were meant to be hard. And that was part of the awesomeness of it. But obviously, it wasn't helping to bring in new people, so they toned it down. Anyway, but that's like I said, that I don't put that on Engage to be a problem with Engage. I put that on the problem with the series because the whole series is going in this direction. So anyway, to continue, I think that what Engage is doing with the combat system it has and what it has available to it is awesome. I think it does all the right things. It has plenty of combat. I am sad that the weapon triangle basically doesn't exist anymore, but it still functions. The game itself still functions. You do see this that it still has the weapon triangle to a degree. Swords are still the all around where they're good damage, they're good accuracy, and they well they don't have durability anymore, but they're good accuracy and they're good damage. Whereas lances have higher damage, but they have a little. They have higher damage. They have higher damage, but they have less accuracy than swords. I think it was. Well, they have less speed than swords. Obviously, they have less speed than swords. But and then axes have the highest damage, but they have a really low accuracy and they have a high crit ratio. So that's where the games I try to separate. But anyway, so that still functions. That still works. Okay, so to get back, yes. Where was I? Oh yes. So I don't really count that against Engage. Anyway, to get back to the gameplay, this is still the standard. The only thing I really dislike about Fire Emblem games is I don't like how the archers only have like 2 range and then 3 range when they have a longbow. I feel like archers definitely should have more range. Like I've played a lot of strategy games, and a lot of the other strategy games have archers have a ton of range, and I think that makes more sense. I like how it limits the gameplay and makes you have to really think about what you're doing, but I think that it doesn't make sense for an archer. An archer should have more range. Now, so anyway, that's about that. But anyway, the gameplay for that matter is the healers are good. Like I said, the game is Fire Emblem. It's played basically the same as any other Fire Emblem. So the game is, but the gameplay, the factor I really want to talk about is that I like how you actually have characters that actually have paths. You have healers that are healers. You have sword wielders that are sword wielders. I hated how 3 Houses was. You could just change characters all willy nilly. I hated it. I hated it so much. It's so dumb. Every character in the game can be changed, and they can be changed whatever you want them to be at the interval of every mission. You could do it inside missions, thankfully, but outside of every mission, you could change them for whatever they want it to be. You just have to train them in that area, and they can do everything. There is a very good thing I like to stand by in life. People will always tell you you can be whatever you want to be. It's true. You can. You can be whatever you want to be if you put your mind to it, work hard, you can do whatever you want to do. But, here's the big but. You can't do everything. It doesn't work. You literally just can't do everything. You can do anything you put your mind to, but you can't do everything. You literally just can't. There isn't enough time. It doesn't make any sense. You can't do everything. So when 3 Houses was all like, hey, guess what? You could be a Lancer. You could be a Swordbearer. You could be an Archer. No, you can't be everything. It makes the characters not matter anymore. It makes it so that every single character doesn't actually matter. That they don't actually have their own plot. They don't actually have their own stat lines. They can just be everything. They can be anything. It doesn't matter anymore. It means that any team you have can be whatever team you want them to be, which is why another reason why 3 Houses was just different colors on the same thing. Because even if you wanted to be, if you took, let's say, for instance, the Golden Deer Squad, which I took because I like them, because they were archery and range based. If you took them, but you wanted to be a sword based group, you can, because you can just change them all to sword characters. It doesn't matter. You can change them all to magic characters. It doesn't matter. The game just doesn't matter. It just lets you do whatever you want to do. It doesn't actually make you have to strategize with the team you are given. It doesn't actually make you have to think about the team you have and the people you have and cherish them, because you only have that one tank or that one Lancer. It just says make whatever you want. And that's where the problem lies in that whole idea, is that the whole point of Fire Emblem characters dying for real being a factor was because you got like one Lancer, or you didn't get one Lancer. You got like one tank. You got maybe 2 tanks. And they were important to your strategy. This character was important to your strategy, but they died. You don't have another character to replace them. You have to figure out what you're going to do now. That was a big point of Fire Emblem. So that's why characters matter. Who you level and who you take into your team is very important. So when the game just says that, oh, everybody can be everything, then it takes away that whole strategy, that whole how you pick your team and how you assign experience. It takes all that away. I also hate how they're getting more and more rid of Thieves' relevance, Thieves now anybody can open a chest, and you no longer need keys at all to open a chest. In Three Houses, you can just buy keys. You never needed a thief. And in Engage, chests just aren't locked. You can just open them. You don't need thieves. The thieves' point of the game is to be kind of a smaller ranged sword guy, and also because they have poison. And that's cool and all, but I mean, like, it makes them less relevant. It makes them a really weak sword character that has poison, that has range, that you just basically don't want to bring into combat, because you get a better range character out of having an archer or having a mage. Like, thieves don't become as relevant. They are much more pushed to the side, and they're being more and more pushed to the side, where they're not a good member of the team anymore, because you no longer have a reason to bring them into the game anymore. Back in the old days of Fire Emblem GBA, where you brought thieves into the game because you had to open chests, and you had to keep them safe because they were the only way to open chests. And if your thief died, you were basically screwed out of chests for the rest of the game. And they also weren't strong. They had very, very good, very good dexterity. They were very agile. A lot of enemies would miss them constantly, but they aren't good in combat, so you likely wouldn't put them in combat anyway. But you also had to try to put them in combat a little bit so they could grow some levels. But you had to be very picky about where you put them and how many combat you gave them and how risky you were with them. Oh, it was awesome. So I just really don't like how relegated thieves are nowadays, where they're just not being well used, not being well maintained. It's just going into down and down and down and down. Like, they're just not relevant anymore. And they also apparently can't class up anymore, so they can't become assassins anymore. They just get level up straight to 20 or straight to 30. And it's like, okay, that's not really cool, actually, because they aren't good anymore. They aren't good characters anymore. They're not useful. I end up never using thieves anyhow. So, but anyway, to go back to this, like I said, I think these are problems with the series, not problems with Engage. I think that the things that Engage is given, that what it does with the things that it's given, it does really well. Because they were, regardless of what game was going to be next, and Engage is the next game, they were going to do this. They were going to keep pushing thieves to the side. They were going to keep giving weapon durability. They were going to get rid of the triangle. It didn't matter that it was Engage. It just mattered that it was the next game of the series. So yes, it's unfortunate. I really miss the old days of Fire Emblem when it was amazing and when it was difficult. But, whatever. It still can be pretty difficult if you put on hard mode and you try to push yourself and you try to do things. But anyway, I still love Fire Emblem. I still love strategy RPGs, or turn-based strategies. I think they're the best games I ever played. They're my favorite kind of games. So I really enjoy them. They're my favorite kind of games. But anyway, yes. I think I'll try to wrap it up here. It's already been a really long video. I think I've said all the things I want to say about this, how they push thieves into the ground, how you should be able to do everything. And I'm going to wrap up here. So, yeah, Fire Emblem Engage is really good. The story functions. It actually has a story that is actually affected by the world around it, makes actual decisions, actually follows a nice plot. Even though the plot kind of falls flat, it still follows it and it still works well. The gameplay is good for what it is. There's problems with the series overall. It's not really problems that this game was going to fix, but that's how it is. And yeah, the game is overall really solid. One of the better Fire Emblems to come out recently. Definitely better than Three Houses. Definitely better than Fates. But definitely not better than Awakening. I'm looking forward to the next Fire Emblem. I hope we keep getting them on main Switch. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. See what else I can find to scratch my turn-based strategy itch until then. So yeah, this has been a really long one. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's that.
Okay, well, that was my raw review. Thanks for listening, and if you liked it and want to hear more, you can like and subscribe. But I'll be back here regardless whether you like it or not, with more Raw Dog Gaming Reviews. See you next time. Bye-bye!